let's talk about progressive candidates and how they are carving a path to the Senate in 2020. No thanks to our good friend, Chucky Boy Chuck Schumer. The man with the glasses.
The Chuckster.
The Chuckster. So this is an article from The Intercept. It's hard to imagine things going much worse for Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer in 2019. As he preps for the election, he has long hoped will make him the majority leader. His prize recruits across the country have spurred him. In Texas, Colorado, and Montana, his top choices have so far turned down Senate runs in exchange for presidential bids. In Georgia, Stacey Abrams eluded him, her eyes still on the governor's mansion or possibly the vice presidency. Interesting. In North Carolina, the popular Democratic Attorney General took a pass. In Iowa, Schumer tried to coax former Governor Tom Vilsack into the race, but that fell through. In Kentucky, Schumer successfully recruited failed House candidate Amy McGarth into the race, and she immediately imploded. Come on.
Hey, he's very good at his job.
Hey, look. He knows what he's doing, Daniel, okay? Are you telling me that someone in the DNC establishment is going to just look at the political climate and say, you know what, these progressives and these young people actually have a good idea? Come on.
Well, we've seen time and time again, this is getting a little off subject, but I'll just very, very quick about it.
Yeah.
That they have actively been fighting. Like, there's been a number of progressives who are running in red districts that don't ever have Democrats running, and then they run, and all of a sudden the DNC is like, we need someone to run in a primary against you to use all your money, because... And I hate to say, the more that happens, the more that Jimmy Dore gets turned out right on this.
Yeah.
They would rather lose to a Republican than win with a progressive, because you already see how much they have they're pulling their hair out of AOC, challenging them on every step of the way that they do things, and having the ability to connect on social media, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Nancy Pelosi is no longer the most relevant Democrat in the party. She is outshone by a freshman Congresswoman.
But that doesn't happen in American politics. And the article goes into further and explained that if the Democrats were to seize the Senate chamber, it would make Schumer, of course, the majority leader, but they need to gain 4 to 3 seats, and possibly also there's the potential of getting the presidency, depending on who the candidate is. But so far, everyone that Chuck Schumer is selecting is going outside of his orbit of influence, and they're not really falling in line towards the DNC's preferred plan. But, let's remember what the preferred plan is.
He's losing power and relevance.
Yes, and so there's another thing, too. So the reason why the Democrats could potentially get more control in the Senate and in the House, potentially, is that it would be due to a large effect of organization on the left, like Our Revolution or Democratic Socialists of America or any other progressive group that's trying to make impact or trying to reform the DNC. And you know what? Let's just remember, let's look at the success of Our Revolution and DSA, for example. They successfully managed to win a lot of key seats at the federal level and at the state level. And if they're able to do that and outperform the DNC that's been doing this for so many years, it calls into question of whether their playbook really works. So what kind of candidate, at least according to the DNC, are they looking for? In most, if not all states, the preferred establishment candidate is white, leans moderate, while left in most cases, though not all, organizing around progressive candidates in color. This is the same battle we saw in the House Democratic primaries in 2018, one that is also playing out in the 2020 presidential race, and will be and its outcome will shape what kind of party takes over or doesn't in 2021, because that 2021 midterm is going to be key in regards to how progressives actually continue to gain momentum. 2018 was basically a sign of things to come, especially with something like AOC defeating Crowley.
Yeah, do you remember when at 2016 the Democrats were like, we need more young people and people of color?
That was Bernie Sanders really saying it. DNC was pretending.
Well, I know, but I'm just going along with what they said because I'm going to take them at their word in this case.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say that they said, we need more young people and people of color to run, and we're going to support them. And now that young people and people of color are running, they're like, whoa, 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 stay your blade, wait your turn.
Yeah. And there's another thing, too, that's going to complicate, Chuck Schumer's plan is that, well, the Bernie Sanders campaign and the Elizabeth Warren campaigns, respectively, and they're both rights, are gaining more momentum and following. They're not following the Biden-Kamala Harris, approach towards running a campaign. And so when you compare...
But what is really, really fascinating about that is that in terms of base support, Kamala and Warren have a lot more in common, and Biden and Sanders have a lot more in common in terms of who their actual base is. So that's an interesting distinction.
But it's also, again, important to note that let's look at the Sanders momentum, because we even covered in the polling data. he is gaining more attention, and corporate media can't really do the hit job on him like they did in 2016. Plus, remember, after the 2016 primary, unfortunately, the ending of that primary, we were there in Philadelphia. What did Bernie Sanders tell his followers and supporters? He told them, it's up to you guys to run for office, to step up. And a lot of people accepted that challenge, and they did it. And there were some key seats in which, the progressives were able to win. And shout out to Max D for a $5 donation. The debate we will never see is in the boardroom of Goldman Sachs, where they select the next occupant of the Oval Office. That is correct, but their power is waning. I mean, popular opinion is going for progressive candidates and independent candidates that actually follow through with their campaign promises. Bernie Sanders, again, he's been consistent. And let's look at the growing sides of momentum and compare his 2016 campaign to 2020.
The balance of keys is completely different. In the last 40 years, that backroom meeting that Max D is putting out is the most important meeting of them all. Because Wall Street was the biggest key, and still is probably the biggest key out there for anyone that's running for office on a federal level like that. But now that people are active and there's organizing, again, I've said it 1,000 times and I'll say it again, it's a paper tiger, it's a wall that doesn't really exist once people realize it. Because really all that Goldman Sachs really allows to happen is, here's money to convince people that you're the right person for the job, and we're going to support you. But that only goes as far as mainstream media has a 10% approval rate, so that's not very useful in that case. People are cord-cutting television, so it's not useful in that place. People that run those campaigns really don't go online all that much, so it's not useful in that case. And we now see that Justice Democrats are able to, with their strategy of, I don't know, grassroots, do what the people want, can win with 1/10 the money. So it's only as useful as the competition is, and their key is simply less valuable now.
So I also want to mention just a few other key things too. In regards to really what's happening with progressives, change is happening. And, the whole idea of money in politics actually controlling our system. I mean, we know that the neoliberal establishment system that we have currently is incapable of withstanding a truly organized movement of progressives and independents working together and removing establishment candidates from power. It can be done. AOC was able to prove it. And already, right now, Hardlands Media has in line a lot of progressive candidates who are running all across the country in Wisconsin, North Carolina, California, who are actually running for office and want to implement change. And the thing is, a few years ago, would they have done this? Probably not. But it was what Bernie Sanders did in 2016 was inspire people and get people active and ready to vote. Could someone like Chuck Schumer or Nancy Pelosi pull that off? The answer is no, they never could. They never had it in their entire idea or either in their mindset to inspire new people to run into DNC, because the DNC already has its people set out, and it's people who will take corporate money and then fall in line. Look, I'm going to just repeat a quote that Trump said during the first Republican primary, where he was asked about money in politics, and he said about all his candidates that he's ever voted or gave money to, he said, I give these people money and they do what I say. Now, all these candidates, or the establishment candidates in the Republican Party and the DNC, do they represent the American people? They never have. They only represent their donors. And by representing their donors, they're ignoring the people. And now Americans are sick and tired of it. We are aware of how messed up our system is, which is why we're seeing someone like Sanders or AOC or Tulsi Gabbard actually gain more influence and gain more momentum, because they're consistent and they're calling out what's really wrong with our government, and that is legalized corruption. Chuck Schumer doesn't have the power to inspire people, and perhaps potentially the United States Senate could have some very strong progressive candidates actually bring in much needed change.
I want to bring up looks like we have a super chat here.
We do. So shout out again to Max D, another honorary Captain General. Thank you again. You guys, it's a super chat that's really helping us close, getting to our goal. We really do appreciate it. With the Electoral College in place, the presidency is a product, not a person. AOC winning is still a local election where change can happen. That is correct.
Well, I think that
to some extent.
The point, it's not only about the physical election that matters. A big part of this is that Americans feel that they have absolutely no ability to affect their elections, and that the deck is so stacked against them, it's not even worth trying, and that's why we have a lot of people that don't vote. But when you get someone like AOC that can run with very little money, going door to door, speaking to the issues that matter,
in
and
New
winning.
York City of all
in
places.
New York City of all places. It says to people that it's an uphill climb. It's not a cliff. And that's an enormous distinction, because without AOC running, without all the other people that did win, even though it was a small amount of them, look at the outsized effect that they have. And look at all the people that are running now that would have not run otherwise.
Paul, what's the final note?
So you guys have a lot of, I agree with everything that you've said. It kind of takes a microscope to what's going on in this election cycle and cast it with respect to the last election cycle. But I want to take a little bit more of a history doesn't repeat itself, but it usually rhymes kind of approach. Go back about 10 years. Republican think tanks, Koch brothers funded research groups were saying, you know what we need to do if we want to win the House and the Senate, we want to re-win the executive branches, we need to start courting Hispanic voters. We need to get off of this immigration nonsense. We need to start trying to get Hispanic voters on our side because we align in these particular ways. We can push religious affiliation and things like that. Republicans didn't do that because it was against their brand and it was just not going to be a thing that they were going to do. And here, it manifests differently among Democrats. It's not coming from a multi-billionaire funded think tank. It's coming from the grassroots. But the grassroots is saying, obviously, progressive-minded, democratic, socialist-aligned politicians are going to play well. That's what we want. We want someone who's going to help equalize the massive wealth and income inequality that we have. We want someone who will be a peace candidate. We want someone who will make sure that we have a single-payer, universal Medicare for all healthcare system in this country. These are the obvious things that we want. And just like the Republicans said, yeah, no, we're not going to try and court Hispanic voters, Democrats are saying, yeah, no, we're not going to try and recruit the Democratic base of the Democratic Party.
We want to win that working class mom who might be a Republican some days and a Democrat other days. That's going to make us.
We want to recruit the most cynical people out there who really don't want to think about politics. We want to say some nice things and not do anything and just make sure that people aren't focusing on what we're doing.
At 2016, I mean, come on. I mean, 2016 was okay. The Democrats, went with a corporate candidate. What went wrong? Oh, wait. Duh. Something did went wrong.
So here's an interesting point to make.
Something did went wrong.
Progressives
Like
will do what they can to build a better future. Republicans will do what they can to maintain the status quo, and the far right will do what they can to create a time machine in reality and go back to the past. That really splits out what the three parties that exist are. You have your Republican, which are really just far right. You have your Democrat, which are really just Republicans. And then you have progressives, just a few of them, able to turn the tide because they have a message that people care about. So let's beat these Republicans that are in the Democratic Party, and the other the right wing, will simply run out of steam if they have a... Then again, the Democrats used to just completely dominate national politics for a very long time until they went away from working with workers and small businesses and went and took money after what was this, 1978? What was that court case? I'm blanking on it. Buckley v. Vallejo.
Buckley v. Vallejo, yeah.
When money in politics came in, they had the silent coup, and then they all started taking money from corporations just like the Republicans. So Democrats became Republicans, Republicans became far right, and Democrats no longer existed.
Don't forget also when the Democrats also introduced the concept of superdelegates, especially in the 1980s, so that they can then choose, because they felt like they knew better than the voters did.
Wasn't that introduced after the 68 election? It wasn't really leveraged until the 80s.
I think it was...
It happened after they got bought out, though.
After not only that, it had to deal with the aftermath of the Reagan election, too.
I need to look into the history of that again.
Yeah, the Democrats really started to change their whole
But that was...
It was after Reagan.
It was because they started thinking in a money and politics sort of way. And that was the crux. That was the difference. That was the distinction. That's what takes a Democratic Party and makes it a Republican Party with the old branding. That's what takes a Republican Party and makes it far right with a Republican branding. There's one, if the Democrats want anything, and that's what Paul was basically also bringing up, is that by making no changes, you maintain the status quo, which is all multinational companies want.
Yep. So, as a final note, this is the time where we need to get involved. Step up, because it's already the DNC. They're running scared. They know that they don't have power. They know that they're weak, and they know that we can actually bring in change. So guys, gals, no matter who you are, what part of the country you're in, now's the time to step up, talk to your friends and neighbors, and get involved, because 2020 will be a very historic election cycle for this country, and we can possibly bring in much needed change and address student debt, address climate change, address our crumbling infrastructure, address a real strong economic program that can actually help Americans get back to work and actually have affordable health care in this country. But the only way that's going to happen is if we step up. Don't expect someone like Chuck Schumer to step up for you, because his plan is the same neoliberal plan that we've been living under. And how's that been going for us? Not well. So, moving on.
Going great for Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, I guess Jeff Bezos. Yeah.